It's difficult to compare the greatest players in NBA history. Stars from different eras have impacted the league in so many different ways, and they all deserve their flowers. But we wanted to come up with an unbiased way to compile a list of the greatest players. So instead of judging based on our opinions, we've used a very simple scoring system to rank them. Keep in mind, this list isn't our opinion. We want to emphasize that. How do we measure greatness? Championships aren't all equal. If a player was the undisputed star of the team who carried his group to a league championship, they earned 5 points. An all-star, all-NBA, or major award winner who played a key role to a championship earned 3 points. A starter on a championship team earned 1 point, and a star player that reached the finals, then lost, earned 1 point as well, giving some credit to guys like Karl Malone and Charles Barkley, who never quite won it all but deserve credit. So, just as an example, when Gary Payton played a contributing role off the bench for the Miami Heat in 2006, he didn't earn points for that season. Sorry, Glove. But Iverson earned a point for leading the 76ers to the finals in 2001 during his MVP season. Winning an MVP earns 3 points, but getting named to an All-NBA first team without winning MVP honors still earns you 2 points. Kobe Bryant only won 1 MVP, but was recognized as an All-NBA first-team player 10 separate seasons. He deserves credit for that. No points awarded for All-NBA second or third team. Second or third best doesn't earn points in the GOAT debate. And no points for any stat accumulations. Whether you led the league in points or finished near the top in multiple categories like Nikola Jokic, it doesn't make a difference. We don't care about playing style, we care about effectiveness, and that is measured by championships, MVPs, and All-NBA recognition. Lastly, if you earn your stripes before the 1976 merger, you only get half points for that. We don't want to disrespect history, but the league ranged from 11 to 17 teams back then. Half the teams means you get half the points. 25th is John Havlicek. He won 8 championships as a starter alongside Bill Russell with the Celtics in the 60s and 70s. He was All-NBA in 6 of those seasons, and was a very good player in his last 2 seasons, post-merger, though he never earned any GOAT points from us during those years. At 24, we've got the logo, Jerry West. He only won 1 championship alongside Wilt Chamberlain and never won an MVP, but he was an All-NBA first-team guard 9 times and lost in the finals 8 times, even earning half points for each of those seasons as a premier merger player. West still gets a shout-out. According to our metrics, George Mikan comes in 23rd. He only spent 7 seasons in the NBA and the ABA, but he led his team to 5 championships and was named first-team All-NBA 5 times. Dirk Nowitzki is our first modern NBA player who earned a spot at number 22. The legendary German had one of the most unstoppable shots ever. A lethal 7-foot sharpshooter who won the 2007 MVP, carried his 2011 Mavs to a title over the Heat as by far their best player and earned more first-team All-NBA recognition than Kevin Garnett during the same era. Number 21 is a player still in the league and adding to his resume. Nikola Jokic, the Serbian center, already has 3 MVPs and led the 2023 Nuggets to an NBA championship. Jokic's game is practically unstoppable because he's an elite shooter, an all-time great passer, and one of the greatest interior scorers the league has ever seen. Still just 30 years old, who knows how high he'll end up by the time his career is finished. 20th is the Flash, Dwayne Wade. Wade never won an MVP, but we give a lot of points to players who won championships, and especially guys that led their team to the title. Wade was by far the best player on the 2006 championship Heat and was also LeBron's sidekick during 2 other finals appearances and 2 finals losses. At number 19 is Moses Malone. Even though Moses started his career before the merger, he earned his accolades after the NBA and the ABA merged. The bruising big man was an incredible rebounder who won 3 NBA MVPs and a championship in 1983 alongside Dr. J. Bob Cousy, a pre-merger point guard that racked up, is 18th. Do we think he has the talent of today's players? Probably not. But he won an MVP, 5 NBA titles, and was All-NBA first team 9 times. So this is where we landed. Led the league in assists in 8 separate seasons. Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Greek Freak is number 17 on our list, another player who is still going to move his way up the rankings before it's all said and done. Giannis is built like he comes from another planet. The power forward is unstoppable on offense and is also one of the best defenders the league has ever seen. He led the Milwaukee Bucks to a championship in 2019 and has 2 MVP trophies to his name. Giannis currently has 1 less MVP than Jokic, but has earned All-NBA first-team recognition 3 more times than him, which ranks him slightly higher on our list for now. 16th is a surprising one, Wilt Chamberlain. This is probably the lowest Wilt has ever ranked on an all-time GOAT list. Wilt was the greatest athlete of his time and holds statistical records that place him much higher on most others' lists. But he doesn't have very many championships, only 2. And one of those titles came when he was 35 years old, and he averaged under 15 points per game, while Jerry West and Gail Goodrich each averaged close to 26 that season. Since he lost all his GOAT points for doing all his damage pre-merger, Wilt Chamberlain was one of the biggest fallers here. 15th all-time by these metrics is Kevin Durant. One of the greatest scorers in NBA history, Durant is a bit of a polarizing player on all-time lists since he joined a historically great Warriors team to win his rings. Durant was the Finals MVP in both those seasons, still not quite the same as leading your own team the distance. For that reason, KD and Steph got 3 points for the titles they won together. Don't get it twisted, KD is a pure hooper, one of the most satisfying players to watch in league history. 14th is another weird one of the biggest climbers according to this ranking system, Scottie Pippen. Do we truly think Pippen is better than Wilt Chamberlain or Kevin Durant? No, definitely not. But Pippen was the second best player on arguably the greatest team in NBA history. Get this, Pippen wasn't an All-Star or All-NBA during the Bulls' first championship season, so he only got 1 point for that ring and still ended up at 14th. And you really can't talk about NBA history without mentioning Pippen, a guy who played beside the greatest volume scorer the league has seen and played his role to a T, always did exactly what his team needed to win the ship, and probably ranks too low on some lists that put more emphasis on stats than winning. Pippen's got some hate recently, but today he's getting some love from us. At 13 is another faller based on our metrics, the godfather of basketball, Bill Russell. Russell won 11 rings and 5 MVPs, but his Celtics teams were stacked well beyond Russell. He didn't exactly carry them there himself, so he only got partial points for his NBA seasons. And Bill Russell was only All-NBA first team once when he wasn't an MVP. In fact, there were multiple seasons when Bill Russell won MVP but was second team All-NBA behind Wilt Chamberlain. He averaged over 20 rebounds per game but only 15 points per game and played his entire career pre-merger. A lot of fans will argue that we're disrespecting history by placing Bill Russell so low on this list, while other fans will probably whine about Havlicek, Cousy, and Mikan making over legends like Garnett, Barkley, and Iverson. 12th, we have Houston Rockets legend Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. The Nigerian ranks as the top international player in league history on this list. Incredible footwork, and besides maybe Bill Russell, the greatest defender to ever play. Hakeem won an MVP award and led the Rockets to 2 straight championships in the mid-1990s. At number 11, we've got another riser compared to most lists, and I actually like this one because he deserves a lot of credit for his unbelievable NBA career, Karl Malone. It's surprising that Malone ranks so highly according to our ranking system that was heavily weighed towards championships, which he never won. But Malone racked up plenty of points along the way in his career. He won 2 MVPs in his career playing for Utah, and was named to the All-NBA first team in 9 seasons that he didn't win a championship. He went to the finals 3 times, but only earned points in 2 of them since he was no longer an All-NBA player when he was with the Lakers. Still, Karl Malone was an absolute force and undoubtedly one of the greatest power forwards to ever play. In our 10th spot, we've got Dr. J, Julius Erving, the greatest player in the ABA, won 3 MVPs there and 2 championships as the best player. Dr. J earned half points for those. But after the merger, he won another championship playing with Moses Malone and the 76ers, as well as an NBA MVP. Dr. J was a do-it-all small forward and one of the greatest dunkers in league history. 9th overall is Steph Curry. Curry won 2 championships as the star of the Warriors and then split a couple of titles with Kevin Durant. He's the only unanimous MVP in NBA history and far and away the best shooter to ever play. Steph revolutionized the game with his three-point shooting prowess and earns recognition as the 9th greatest player to ever do it according to these metrics. 8th is the big man Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq was the most dominant force to play in the modern NBA. There was a time when you could argue he was the most unstoppable force to ever play. We gave him full points in his first 2 championship seasons with the Lakers as the go-to guy and the main reason his team won the title. He split points with Kobe Bryant during his 3rd championship with the Lakers and was still an all-star when he won his 4th ring in Miami, where he manned the middle with Dwayne Wade being the go-to guy. Our 7th greatest player ever goes to Larry Bird. He won his 3 championships with the Celtics. He played on some great teams, but Larry was clearly the best player on those teams by far. He added 3 MVPs and earned All-NBA first-team recognition 6 times when he didn't win the MVP award. An incredible talent that could do it all, and was one of the fiercest competitors in league history. 6th on our list is the late, great Kobe Bryant. Mamba only won 1 MVP, but his 10 All-NBA first-team recognitions when he didn't win the MVP award are more indicative of his greatness. He only earned 3 points per championship with Shaq by our ranking metrics, but earned 5 in each of the seasons he won the championship with Pau Gasol. Kobe Bryant was an assassin, possibly the best player known in history for having a relentless work ethic in pursuit of perfection. 5th all-time on this list is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. While Kareem is ranked top 3 on most lists, he fell slightly because he only earned half his points for his 1 championship and 4 MVP trophies that he won pre-merger. Still, Kareem won 5 more rings as at least an all-star caliber player, playing with Magic Johnson, as well as 2 more MVP awards after the merger. Kareem was incredibly skilled for a 7-footer, and that is such an understatement. His hook shot is the most impossible shot to stop in league history. 4th greatest of all time according to our metrics is Kareem's Showtime Lakers counterpart, Magic Johnson. At 6'8", Magic could do it all, the greatest passer to ever play and possibly the most entertaining to watch. He revolutionized the game in the 1980s. Of his 5 championships, we gave him 3 points for being a 2-headed monster alongside Kareem for his first 2, but gave him 5 points for each of his last 3. He also won 5 league MVP awards. Resumes can often get things twisted in retrospect, but the fact is that Magic Johnson was the best player on the Showtime Lakers, and likely does actually deserve to be ranked above Kareem on all-time lists. Number 3 all-time according to this scoring system is Tim Duncan. Duncan doesn't rank this high on any all-time lists. Is it asinine to have him up here? Wondering what comes up in the comments. Duncan was sort of low-key during his time in the league for an all-time great. We don't remember him ever being discussed as a top 3 player of all time, or as someone who was chasing Jordan's legacy while he was playing. But year after year, he earned All-NBA first-team recognition, often discussed as a beneficiary of playing with Popovich and the Spurs. But is that really fair? Duncan would never vouch for himself, but he was far and away the best player on every single one of his 5 championship-winning teams in 3 different decades. David Robinson was a solid player, but well past his prime during the first 2 rings, and the others were alongside Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker. Great players, but nowhere near as good as the sidekicks and of the other all-time greats won rings with. In fact, neither player ranked on ESPN's all-time top 75, and I doubt anyone will be arguing that they should have a place anywhere close to this list. The big fundamental just quietly did his work year after year. His game wasn't the most exciting, but the Spurs were never close to as good before him, and never close to as good after he left. So how were they good for so long? Because of Duncan. According to these metrics, the 2nd greatest player in history is LeBron James. LeBron has 4 rings and 4 MVPs. We gave him full points for his rings with Wade in Miami and with Kyrie in Cleveland. There's no doubt that LeBron was the greatest reason those teams won championships. For his title in LA, we only gave him 3 points for that one since Anthony Davis was such an important player. Before Davis arrived in LA, the Lakers were a non-playoff team and Davis was a key anchor on defense and a huge part of the offense too. No doubt LeBron was sensational, but that was more of a 2-headed monster than a Batman and Robin situation. LeBron also earned plenty of points for all NBA first-team recognition in years he didn't win MVP and finals appearances without championships. But even after all that, he still finished second to Michael Jordan. Still, LeBron deserves to be celebrated immensely. He's been a terror in the league for over 20 years and is still competing deep into playoffs in recent years. As a 40-year-old, LeBron still gets more media attention than any other player, and deservingly so. It's absurd. Year after year, LeBron just shocks us with his nearly flawless all-around game. One of the greatest scorers ever, one of the greatest passers ever, probably the highest IQ basketball player in history. He's a model of consistency both on and off the court. A 6'9", 275-pound phenom that future generations just won't fully understand. So many times in his career, he has made us stop and reconsider the GOAT debate because he's just that damn good. Last but certainly not least, the greatest player of all time by this ranking system as well as most others that have ever been invented, Michael Jordan. Jordan dominated the game like no other. He flew through the air, scored like a maniac, and broke hearts along the way. Truly, just a killer through and through on the court. A perfect record, 6 championships in 6 finals appearances, as well as 6 MVP awards. MJ revolutionized basketball with his play and charisma. The fact that he managed to put together the closest thing to a perfect career and only played in 15 seasons, less than others on this list, is nothing short of miraculous. So, just to conclude, this is our final list of the 25 greatest players ever. Do we truly believe that this list is accurate? No, we don't. If it were up for opinion, we would make changes. Guys who deserve honorable mentions that in our minds should be in the top 25 include Charles Barkley, Kevin Garnett, Oscar Robertson, Isaiah Thomas, Kawhi Leonard. Boy, we could go on. We had to leave some of our favorites off this one and put guys we barely know about in their place. It hurts. Still, we feel like it could provoke some interesting discussions since it differs from most of the lists that have been made. Greatness is so subjective, and resumes are based on so many factors and variables that get forgotten over time. Anyway, we'd love to hear what you guys think. Tear us apart and share your opinions. And don't forget to subscribe.